It's customary to begin a funeral service with the recitation of a psalm that's usually Psalm 23. For personal reasons, I chose today Psalm 130 that I will chant. Shir Mahalot Mimamakim Kraticha Adonai Adonai Shema Vikoli Tiyena Aznecha Kachuvot Likol Tachanunai Imavanot Ishmaria Adonai Mihi Yahamod Kimacha Haslicha Leman Tibarei Kiviti Adonai Kivita Nafshi Velid Varo Hochalti Nafshi Ladonai Mishomerim Laboker Shomrim Laboker Yachel Israel El Adonai Kim Adonai Chesed V'harbe Himo Fidut V'hu Hifdeh Et Yisrael Mikol Avonatam. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. God gave, and God has taken. Blessed be the name of God. The pain we feel today, the heaviness in our chest, the lump in our throat, these will all subside and abate with the passage of time. But we will never forget. My brief comments are directed primarily at Richard, Sarah, and Daniel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Marvin Slutchuk. For over half a century, I have ministered to the sick, injured, and dying. This has been my chief purpose in life. There is nothing more I or anyone else can do for Pamela. The rest is up to the Rabbana Shalom, the Lord of the universe. The best mitzvah one can do for someone is one that cannot be reciprocated. Delivering a eulogy, participating in a funeral service, helping to cover the casket with earth are perhaps the most poignant. Most, if not all of you, are probably wondering why I am participating in this service. I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a cantor, I'm not a devout Orthodox Jew. I certainly do not observe all 613 mitzvot. I have not adhered assiduously to all the 10 commandments. I might add, though, that I am a very spiritual person. I can proudly say that there is one commandment to which I have rigidly adhered, and for me signifies the epitome of what Judaism is all about. The commandment to which I am referring is the 5th commandment, Kaved et Abba ve'Ima, honor your mother and father. If you honor your parents who are created in the image of the Rabbana Shalom, then it must follow that you are honoring the Lord. I sense that Pamela knows this information and my feelings about this commandment. I am certain she would approve and find delight in the honor Richard, Sarah, and Daniel have bestowed upon me. I'm not going to stand here and in a didactic fashion infused with bits of humor expound on Pamela's life experiences, accomplishments, and attributes. My most important purpose is to focus on and comfort the living. As physicians, we are educated that death is a very large part of the human condition. Yet the death of a loved one, in particular a spouse, a mother, is an inconceivable reality. I never became accustomed to death. Despite my facing numerous times, I never became adapted to death. It is far different from other experiences to which we gain expertise with repetition or practice. From an emotional and spiritual level, I could never understand how someone could be here one moment and gone the next. This is why death is always such a shock, even when it is awaited and expected, as with Pamela. The difference between being alive and not is always an extreme contrast. The last few years, of Pamela's life were very difficult and trying for her. Each day, each passing day, she experienced the gradual extraction of her ability to perform her activities of daily living. The impact of her disease was devastating. The experience of watching Alzheimer's robbed Richard, Sarah, and Daniel of Pamela's ability to communicate, recall treasured memories, follow daily routine, and recognize those she loved was immensely painful. I too shared vicariously in their pain. As I grow older and older, I've come to the realization that death is not the end of life. Rather, it is the end of one cycle of existence, our physical existence on the physical plane of being. But there is so much more to life than its physical material aspect. The full extent of life also includes emotional, mental, and spiritual universes. Pamela is and will continue to be lovingly remembered by her husband of 43 years, Richard, daughter Sarah, son Daniel, relatives, and numerous friends. It is not true that in death our loved ones are here one moment and gone the next. Certainly we lose them on the physical level, and this is what makes us suffer so much. This physical loss is irreversible. On the physical level of being, we are truly separated from our loved ones forever. Richard, Sarah, and Daniel, I want to leave you with an important message. You must always remember that on the level of heart, mind, and soul, Pamela continues to live, love, and remain with you forever. On the non-physical level, there is no loss. With the mind's eye, we see our departed loved ones as clearly as at any time they were alive. Our heart feels the same depth of love for them as at any time when they were alive. Our soul sensed their presence in our lives just as vividly as when they were alive. Nobody can say then that our loved ones are no longer alive, when in fact they live on the inner level of our experience. So long as you nurture these memories on the level of heart, mind, and soul, our loved ones can become eternal living realities for each one of us. Richard.
Thank you, Marvin, for conducting this service. You've been a dear friend to my family and always have been there for us. Rabbi Matthew, I know your lineage. You come by your kindness and decency, honestly. My family is honored by your attendance here today. You comfort us. We are grateful for your friendship and support. For the past 15 years, Pamela has endured a journey with Alzheimer's, an insidious, cruel, unrelenting disease that consumes and torments. She is now finally at peace, her integrity and dignity intact. Pamela was fiercely independent, exceptionally intelligent, and very proud, beautiful beyond words, inside and out, and exceedingly private. She would not want the attention that we give her today. We invade her privacy today. So Pammy, don't be angry. You deserve the things that I'm going to say. It would be a disservice to Pamela to define her life by the disease that she suffered from. I'd like to tell you about our life together. It was so sweet. I saw her for the first time at a movie theater. I was there with a friend, and minutes before the movie was to start, she walked in, and I was in awe of her beauty. She was simply magnificent. I said to the friend that I was with, "Who's that?" She told me, "It's Pamela Hoffer." I still have that image today. But sadly, she told me then that she had a boyfriend. A few months later, my friend and I were invited to Pamela's house on Laidlaw for drinks, and there I saw her beauty up close. I realized within minutes that she was so much more than that. She was bright, funny, sophisticated, elegant, kind. I was in awe. She had a boyfriend still at that time, and it just wasn't our time yet. I was at that time in my early 20s. She was 3 years younger than me. Our paths didn't cross until years later. I was 29 years of age. I was playing tennis with my dear friend Sean Safer. She walloped me as usual. We went upstairs for a post-game drink, and Sean said to me, "Why don't you take out my friend?" I wasn't that comfortable being fixed up with somebody that I didn't know, but I said, "Who's your friend?" And she said, "Pamela Hoffer." I was cool and calm on the outside, but I was giving myself high fives on the inside. I remember calling her that night or the next night, and we had an immediate connection. We talked for about an hour and a half. I learned that she had 3 siblings, Robin and Susan, who now live in Toronto, and Michael, who's passed. She had studied at the University of Manitoba at the Faculty of Education. Well, she didn't tell me. I learned later she was an A student all the way through school, which didn't surprise me. She studied French in La Rochelle, France. Again, she didn't tell me, but I learned later she spoke impeccable Parisian French. I learned that she was teaching kids K to 6, teaching them French. She loved these kids. She was teaching at a school in Elmwood, in a tough area. Children with some challenging backgrounds. Pamela loved them and cared for them. Our conversation that night was beautiful. She was so bright, funny, and caring. And then I popped the question, "Will you go out with me?" And in true Pamela fashion, the answer was no. This was just before Christmas, and she said, "Call me after Christmas." She let me down so nicely, but I was deflated. After Christmas, another tennis match with Sean. She beat me again mercilessly. We went upstairs for a drink, and she said, "Call her again." It was the best advice that I could have received. I called. It was a beautiful conversation. We started to go out, and the rest is history. An immediate connection. We quickly became best friends, partners in crime, full of laughter and love and togetherness. She was the woman of my dreams. We married December the 19th of 77. We had this magical romance and a magical life together. A beautiful marriage full of laughter and love. Then our lives changed. Along came Sarah, and then Daniel. We became instantly rich with their birth. We were a true foursome. I saw a new side of Pamela. Motherhood. She was a natural. Creative and loving. My respect and admiration for her multiplied. What a beautiful life we had as a family of 4. Integral to that, we were, as we are today, surrounded by wonderful friends. Our families intertwined. We celebrated together. We traveled together. It would be nothing for us in Mexico to need a table for 28. The dinner parties, what fun. Life was just grand. As the kids grew in age, Pamela and I traveled, sometimes by ourselves and sometimes with friends. Miriam and Gary, Robbie and Thea, Mark and Carol, wonderful trips to Europe. But our most beautiful times were with our children. In the early part of her disease, Sarah, Daniel, and I Europe where we just bonded. What a beautiful time that was. I told you that Pamela was a teacher. I can't tell you the number of times when we would be out together and a young man or woman would come to the table. Mademoiselle Hoffer, they would say. She knew all of them. She knew who they were. What I heard was, from these kids, that Pamela was their special teacher. You changed my life, one of them said. You instilled confidence in me. You made a difference. She was so proud of those kids and her time with them. As she became ill, she was far too private and proud to let me bring in help. Not my Pammy. Her friends wouldn't let her stay at home. My dear Tanis, Debbie, you arranged for all of the friends. Come and take her out every day to give her some life of normalcy. You helped her maintain her pride and dignity. In Palm Springs, where we love to go, we had a set of friends there too. The Yans, Elaine, Paul, so many others who would spend time with her and take her out, and were very special to her and to us. To all of you, my family is grateful beyond words. I love you all. A few thanks. When she became too ill to be taken care of just by me and our friends, we met Maria Pegdado, a tiger. Maria just took control, was there for Pamela all the time. And then Grace and Alicia and Tess, thank you so much for the care and the love that you showed her. I want to say something about Simkin. I fought that place. I didn't appreciate the love that was there. I would walk in every day and I'd go right to Pamela's room. I didn't want to associate with anybody there. I was angry. And then COVID hit. The nurses, the aides at Simkin were incredible. I saw the kindness and the love. Karina and Brenda and Ray and Tess and Sarah. These men and women are heroes. They worked unbelievable hours in a very challenging circumstance. They were so loving to our family. I don't know that there's another place where that kind of love and care exists. I'm grateful to them. My children, our children. You honor Mom and I with who you have become. Wonderful in every respect. The love and care you showed Mom was exceptional. The support for both of us. I'm privileged to say that you're my best friends. You were Mom's best friends. We love you beyond words. So this was Pamela Wolson. I could have extolled her virtues for hours, but all of you know them. My dear Pamela, you're at peace You're no longer encumbered by this horrible disease. We love you, always. You're in our hearts and our minds forever. We love you. Thank you.
I'll now chant the El Male Rachamim Memorial Prayer. El Male Rachamim Shochein Bameromim Hamitzei Menucha Nachana Tachat Kanfei Ashchina V'malot Kedoshim Utoharim Kezorakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Penima Bat Ephraim Be'etel Shehalcha Leolam Beganei Lintehei Menuchata Lachein Baal Rachamim Yastireya Besetu Kenafecha Leolamim Vitzror Bitzror Achaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Tehi Nishmat Tzor B'tzor Achaim. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. And let us all say, Amen.
I want to commend Dr. Marvin Slutchuk for officiating this service, and for Richard for the beautiful Hesped eulogy in Pamela's honor. We will conclude our service with a shoveling of dirt into the grave. Just before that, I would say that during these strange times of this COVID pandemic, unfortunately for over 4 months now, we cannot have officially sanctioned shivas where you can visit in homes and be together in close quarters, or even a meal of consolation as we typically do after the service, as our thoughts turn from honoring Pamela to comforting her family and her friends and those who are broken and hurt. That doesn't mean that you can't continue to reach out. We encourage all people to send emails and texts and phone calls and to reach out and share stories and find ways to join your hearts together with Richard's and Sarah's and Daniel's and everyone's to get through these very difficult times. When it comes to shoveling dirt into the grave, as Dr. Sluchik said, this is an extension of the highest form of respect Jewish tradition can offer, a mitzvah, both a commandment but a righteous act we do selflessly without hope of any reward, to care for someone who meant so much to so many people until the very end, to accompany her here to her final resting place. We believe strongly in Judaism, our loved ones deserve to be buried by our own hands. Kind, knowing, sorrowful hands, hands that once held their hands. And so in a moment, when we begin this ritual, Richard and Sarah and Daniel will lead us, and then everyone else is invited to participate. We ask that you continue to follow certain protocols. On that stand there at the edge of the grass, there are extra gloves for anyone who would like, and there's hand sanitizer. There are shovels on both sides, so people could line up and come from both sides. And all over the world, you'll see different customs. Everyone seems to pour 3 shovelfuls of dirt. Some people use the front of the shovel, some people use the back. Some people will pass the shovel to the next person, others will return it to the dirt, as if reluctant to share this burden with the next person. Whatever the ritual with which you are familiar, whatever the custom is the one you should embrace. The most important point of all of these rituals in our tradition is for them to have meaning for us today. If the large shovels are too overwhelming or too daunting and you're worried about footing, you may not be able to see it, but just on this side of the large pile of dirt there is a pail with a small shovel and sand and dirt in there that works exactly the same way for anyone who wants to participate that way. Earlier, Dr. Sluchik offered these words that I'll repeat. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevorach. These are the words of Job, the epitome of Jewish and biblical suffering, who said, God you have given, God you have taken away, blessed be the name of God. May the memory of Pamela Wolson, Penina bat Ephraim Vettel, be a blessing for all time, as we mark today and going forward that her essence will never leave our hearts and our souls. Adonai, God, send comfort to those who mourn, grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. And let us all say, Amen. We close with these words in Hebrew and then in English to those who are in mourning. Hamakom yinachem echem b'toch sha'ara ve'lei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. In time may you be comforted and consoled among all those in our community who have ever been in mourning. Thank you to everyone for being here at the cemetery and to everyone who has tuned in through our online stream. I'll now turn things over to the family.